Tonight on Chimstock Africa, my guest is Oladipupo Clement, a global investor and a trusted wealth creation and retention coach with a career spanning over 2 decades. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Lifepage Group, a real estate investment company. Lifepage Group has successfully created and managed over 23 projects across Africa with an investment portfolio that is worth over $20 million. Oladipupo Clement champions the crusade of the economic emancipation of the average African. Tonight, Oladipupo sits down to talk about his courageous journey of being a young man without a tertiary education and yet climbing up the corporate ladder and becoming the CEO of a multi-million company today. Tonight on Chimstock Africa. But before we do that, please like this video and leave a comment below. Let's know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell button and share this video with somebody else.
From Cape Town to Cairo and from Mogadishu to Dakar, this is Chimstock Africa. Here's your host, Chim Onyibilanma.
Hi there, welcome to this week's episode of your show. I'm Chim Onyibilanma, your host. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I know you're going to be blessed by my interview with Oladipupo Clement, but before we go into the story of this brave guy, let's go into a segment called Teaching Time with Dr. C. Dr. C, over to you.
Thanks, Chim, for inviting me again to Chimstock. I'm so grateful for the chance to serve. Today, I'll be looking at building your team. Building your team. Mark chapter 1, verse 16 to 18. And as he walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Then Jesus said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you become fishers of men." They immediately left their nets and followed him. You know, one of the things that we need to agree as critical in these last days is that we must not walk alone. We cannot afford to walk alone. Even Jesus, with all the Holy Spirit on his life, the Spirit of God was in Jesus without measure. In him dwelt the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Yet, Jesus had to build companions around him. Build your team. Surround yourself with men and women who you can confide with, who you can talk to, who you can cry with. When Jesus was in a difficult situation, he turned to his friends and he said to them, "Come, pray with me. Come, I am exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death." Do you have people like that? Do you have friends, family? Do you have people in your workplace that you can talk to heart to heart? Jesus looked out for friends. Build your team. Team of companions. Team of friends. Confidence. I hear people say things like, "I don't have a friend." It's the most lonely thing to have, to be alone. It's the most agonizing thing to be a loner. Don't be alone. Don't walk alone. Jesus walked by the sea, and God opened his eyes, and he saw Simon and Andrew. And when he looked at them, he saw people that could be his friends. He saw people that could be his teammates. He saw people that he could confide in. Please don't walk alone. This world has so much to take away from you. Don't walk alone. Find your Simon. Find your Andrew. And when you find them, walk with them. Remember, they may not be perfect. You may need to invest in your friends. And Jesus said to them, I will make you. That is investment. I will make you. I will invest in you. I will serve you. I will love you. I will shape you. Don't wait for ready-made packages. There are none out there. There are no ready-made people. Everyone is growing. And when you do find people that can be part of your team, invest in them. Spend time with them. Love them. Touch them. Can I invite you to pray with me? That from today, the Lord will open your eyes to see men and women who can work with you. And when you found them, if there are people in your workplace, in your office, in your neighborhood, in your church, who are friends, they may not be perfect, please determine today to begin to add value to them, to begin to share your experience with them, to begin to serve them. Father, I pray for myself and my brothers and sisters out there. Lord, help us not to live the lonely, solitary life. Help us to live in fellowship with others. Lord, give us brothers and sisters, the Simons and the Andrews, who we can walk together. Open our eyes to see the value in Simon and Andrew. Help us not to expect the perfect, but help us to invest. Lord, for those listening to me today, grant everyone the faith, the tenacity to invest in other people, that they may eventually become true companions and true friends. Build teams around us, Lord. Please build teams around us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hi there. If you prayed that prayer with Dr. C, you probably will be helped by requesting for our 2 free ebooks. Use the information of the screen and request for those today, and we'll rush them to you. These books will help you in your foundations in Jesus Christ. Perhaps you want to give your life to Christ. These books will help you. Use the information on the screen today and let us know that you want this book. Now, let's go to that conversation I had with Oladipupo Clement, CEO of Lifepage. You will be blessed. Don't go away. Hi there, welcome to this segment of your show. Like I said in the introduction, my guest today is Oladipupo Clement. He's the CEO of Lifepage, a real estate entrepreneur. Yeah. You're welcome, Oladipupo.
Thank you so much for having me.
I was chatting with you at the beginning of the show, and I was asked before we came on set that I wanted to shorten your name to Dikpo or to Oladipupo, but you said no, it has to be Oladipupo. Why?
Well, that's the name God gave me the year 2007. My parents named me Olabanji Timothy Ajilore. Ajilore actually was my family name, but God gave me a change of name, and that was after a few months of research into my family history. And I interacted with one of my grand aunts who told me the history of the family and told me how we came from the Ekiti all the way to Elisha, and how my great-great-grandfather had 35 wives, and it was a moving city. And a lot of stories around that. And then it went down to our great-grandfather, and then to my grandfather, and now, of course, I know my father. And I was just inspired, one of my early morning devotions, that name needed to change. And God gave me interpretation of our family name that I asked everyone I met, including my grandmother, who is now late, what was the meaning of the family name. I asked my father, I asked everyone, including my grand aunt, but nobody could give me the accurate answer until the Holy Spirit, revealed it to me. It's not something I'm going to share here.
Yeah.
And so God gave me Oladipupo, and interpreted, it means wealth be multiplied.
Wow. And that seems to be what has followed you. God has enabled you in the last 10 plus, in the last decade to just multiply wealth beyond what anyone could imagine. But let's go back a bit. Most of your friends say that you are such a confident person. But even without them saying, when I look at the way you've walked into the real estate space in Nigeria, within the short time, hundreds of houses that you've been able to build and dreaming of a million homes in years to come.
Yeah.
Where does this boldness come from? Where does this confidence? You were somebody who, from what you tell me, even till the time you were 28, 29, you hadn't had a university degree, but you were getting jobs in investment company. Where does this boldness come from?
Well, I think it stemmed from my relationship with Jesus. And that's just trying to be modest. I was very shy. I used to be very shy. I used to be very timid. I recall I used to be in the choir. I'm a very good singer, actually. I love music. And so, but those days when I'm given a lead vocalist role to play, I would look on the ceiling throughout my presentation.
To avoid the eyes of people.
To avoid eye contact.
Okay.
And, people would say to me that, man, that guy's voice. In fact, one day I overheard someone saying, I love this guy's voice. He said, but it's shy. Nobody was aware that I got that information, and that got to me because I also saw quite a lot of other people who didn't have as good voice, a sonorous voice as I had, who were commanding attention, who were getting the crowd and all of that. So that was one thing that led me into another discovery, that nobody follows a timid person. You have to be bold.
Nobody follows a timid person.
Nobody follows a timid person. So even if you are wrong, people can follow you as long as you demonstrate courage. And so that for me was more, not just because I gave my life to Christ, but because that was an experience I will never forget.
Okay. Tell us about giving your life to Christ. You gave your life to Christ around year 18, 19. What happened? How did it get to?
Okay, so I'd given my life to Christ many times, and then it was those days of ignorance where you are told that once every sin is sin, you steal small meat, or you steal $1 million, or you steal $1 billion, you are a thief, and so you are a sinner. And so every time there was altar call, I always felt guilty. I always go out to respond to the altar call. That was like 3 years prior. And I remembered one of those days I was approaching responding to the altar call when an usher saw me and said, "No, didn't you come out last week? Go back." And that was it for me. And until one day, a family friend invited us to this particular church. That was year 2000, February 20, 2000. 20, it was 222. And then I had this man of God, the person of Reverend Olumide Emmanuel, ministering. And I said, what? It's important for me to mention here that I reluctantly went, responded to that because I was still sharing, I was still living with my mom at the time. And I remembered, I said I was tired of going shopping for churches. We went to too many churches. And at that point in time, I said, no, I was tired. So, but when they said we're going, I said, I'm not going, except the other church that we've been going more consistently. Eventually, I went to this church and I told myself, I found a place. And altar call was made. I gave my life to Christ. It was a new experience for me altogether. That year, I went through all sorts of training, and I'm still in that church today. In fact, I'm a pastor in that church.
That's wonderful. Meeting the Lord Jesus changed the trajectory of your life.
Absolutely.
You've alluded to that already, brought confidence.
Totally.
But beyond that, you started being somebody who was on a mission.
Yes.
To change society, to change yourself.
Yes.
And but you focus first of all on trying to get out of the country.
Yes, I wanted to escape.
I mean, I was passing through, not far from where we're meeting now. There is a visa center.
Yes.
And the other day I saw the number of people there. I mean, I never feel good about it, but that's the truth in Africa.
Yeah.
Everywhere, everybody's trying to escape. And you were one of those people.
Absolutely.
If you look back today with the kind of...
I don't think there's any country I want to go that I can't live successfely, and I'm not planning to escape.
But tell us a bit about then. Why were you trying to escape? And
so I had the opportunity of completing my high school. I knew I wanted to study, but I didn't want to study in Nigeria. But that plan to study abroad was actually a strategy to escape.
To get out of the country.
To get out of the country. Unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, I was denied a visa the first time, and it hurts me so deeply. And my nature is that when things don't work, I ask myself, what next? So I returned and then looked at what I didn't get right and then prepared. 6 months later,
time. Okay.
Yes. 6 months later, I had gotten another copy of I-20. Then for the US, I got admission to study electrical electronics in Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. And it was a dream come true for me when I got the admission, and I was looking forward to it. But this second time I applied for visa, I was denied on account that I had never traveled out of Nigeria before. It will interest you to note that I felt really, really bad. I refused to leave the consular officer.
Oh, you didn't get out of the embassy after the no?
It took security officials
to take you out,
move me out. Because
what was going on in you?
It was like, where do I start again?
The end of the road.
Yes, most of my classmates who I finished high school with, were about to. Most of them were almost graduating from the university.
They were far ahead of you.
Far ahead of me. So it was like, where do I start from now? And so it was very, very demotivating for me. So I returned that day asking myself the regular question, what next? And thankfully, few years earlier, I had started this investment with a particular company, and I was investing on a monthly basis. And I remembered that my account officer reached out to me and said, would I be interested in working with them? Because he saw that every time he gave me my financial statements, I was always asking questions, and he felt this guy is too intelligent to just be a customer.
Even though he doesn't have a university
Even
paper.
though he doesn't have a university degree. And so that was it. And I said, look, I'll give it a thought. And later on, I decided I was going to join. So February 14th, 2005, I joined the organization after I chit-chat with the CEO of the company. And that was how I resumed. And like they said, the rest is history. I moved from being just a junior executive to becoming a regional vice president in about 5 years. I built a 10,000 customer base for the organization, raised several managers for the organization around Nigeria. That was where I started to hone my management consulting skills without even realizing that was what it was.
And you're not even done an MBA by then?
At the time, yes.
You're not even done a university degree?
I'd not gone
you know what I'm getting here, first of all, is the issue of I need to get out of Africa.
Yes.
And some people just feel like if I can't get out, there is no hope.
Yes.
There's no way out, especially for someone like you, coming from a very average home. You said you knew more times of poverty than...
Absolutely.
And it's like, what next? I don't know anybody. And secondly, you don't have the university paper. And yet, even with that, there's a way with God. It's really incredible. But you did go back to do a tertiary degree in theology. Tell us about, why did you go back to do it? So, you were 29 by that time, so why did you go back?
Before then, I had taken the step to gain admission. Since university abroad wasn't working, I decided to apply
to the
universities here in Nigeria. And I got admission to study computer sciences in Lagos State University. After a few months of going to class, I felt awkward. I just didn't feel I was in the right place. Something just was not right. So I deferred the admission, but never returned
to the university.
When I met my wife now, at the time as a friend, My parents-in-law were concerned that what were you doing with your youthful age? What were
You
you
didn't
doing?
get a degree.
And you didn't get a degree. And so my mother-in-law recommended her, you can still try again. Doesn't stop you from getting married, and all of those things. And then I applied again to Unilag, and I got admission to study mathematics. And then I deferred the admission again.
You got there, it was still feeling awkward.
Yes, I deferred the admission again and then didn't return till date. I paid the school fees in full because, like I said, I was already working.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't return there. So I was transferred to head a branch, to start a new branch of our company at the time in Ogun State, in Abeokuta, the city capital in southwest Nigeria. And then I met this young man who told me about this theological seminary. And then we went to the school together. It will interest you to know that the guy went along with me. He even dropped out. But I found purpose. I found that, wow, this is what I've been looking for. I had
this is the education I needed to get.
This is the kind of education I have really, really, really been looking for. So even though it was not conventional, even though it was not the in thing. I mean, when people ask me, what did you study? I tell them theology. And it's like, you mean?
What does that have to do with business?
My interaction with the rector at the time, he shared out that theology is the queen of all sciences.
Yeah.
And so we studied anthropology, studied archaeology, studied all sorts. So theology, studied all sorts of logies, And then even management sciences, we studied all of that. And I could see how applicable most of the things I was learning, not only for ministry, but even for business. And that was how I went into theology. And I today have a doctorate in clinical counseling.
You're a full reverend.
By the grace of God.
But you went through all of that,
yes.
And God opened the door and led you into real estate.
Yes.
I've been reading a lot about the wonderful things you're doing, the houses and estates that you're building all around Lagos. And first of all, tell us a bit about the Million Home Vision. Tell us a bit about it, and I'll come back to ask you how you got into real estate. Tell us a bit about what you guys do there.
All right, so Lifepage, the company that I am privileged to lead, didn't actually start as real estate. It started out as a human capital and business development company. I'm actually very passionate about empowerment, empowering people. I know that if you want to change a person's life, change their thinking, change the quality of their thoughts, I've always known that if you can alter a person's thought patterns and behavioral patterns, you can alter their lives. And so I knew that that's one thing I'm going to do the rest of my life. And so it was to find where can I express it, where can I apply those things. So I'm actually a coach, I'm a consultant. So that expression is, that skill is now finding expression in real estate.
Okay.
In the year 2013, I felt really, really frustrated because we're putting in so much into the business and very little or nothing to show for it. And so I went on a short retreat. And during that retreat, I asked three very important questions. Number one, why did we even start this business in the first instance? Clearly, it wasn't to just meet our family needs, but we wanted to make a difference. I've always been a kingdom-minded person. That was how I was raised since I gave my life to Christ. But it wasn't just working. And I recall having that experience, asked, why did we start this business? That helped me to narrow down to the vision, the purpose of the business, the values that would drive, the business and everything. And then I asked myself, at the time we were doing quite a lot of things. It may interest you to know that Lifepage was a group of companies at the time. We're busy, but not in business. Busy, but not productive. Too many things, energy dispersed in many directions. And I see that play out today. Many people who call themselves serial entrepreneurs who are mastering nothing. I was in that particular situation at the time, and I had the opportunity of going to South Africa in 2013 for the first time on a budget trip because I had a valid visa and I just felt I needed to use it. And that was it. And asked myself, which of the things we were doing was even central to the purpose of the business? It came down to three things. And then which of these business or products or services we were rendering at the time was giving us our highest result. It also came down to those three things. And so we just narrowed down. And it will interest you to know that by the time I returned, we refocused all our energy and resources on those three things. And so real estate happened to be one of those things. Of course, we do a lot of trainings, seminars, and all of that. And so that was how we went into real estate. And now it appears to be the most prominent part, but there are other things.
Most visible part of
Lifepage. But that's actually
one of the three.
One of the three things that we.
So tell us about the Million Homes vision.
So the Million Homes is actually the vision of Lifepage, and we named it Million Homes because the vision is to develop 1 million homes across Africa by 2041. When you look at the housing deficits in Nigeria, for example, it's well over 17 million, even though it's still being argued by the Minister for Housing, Works and Housing in Nigeria. But those are the realities. We can't debate that too much. So we felt, okay, what gap can we, because business is actually about solving problems. It's about bridging gaps. It's about adding value. It's about solving problems. And that was the gap we identified, and we felt, okay, this is one thing we're going to do. Again, real estate for us is more about creating wealth and retaining wealth. So we only found real estate as a veritable tool or vehicle for helping people not only create their wealth, but also retain the wealth for much longer. So Million Homes is actually the vision of Lifepage.
To help people create wealth.
And retain their wealth.
What have you learned? I mean, this, you would still say you're on the journey. What's one lesson you learned in the course of just your career that you feel, or lessons, key lessons you've learned that you feel like, I need people to know this. I wish other people would know this.
So for those who are thinking of going into business, you must understand planning is critical, but with all your planning, prepare your mind for worst case scenario, because business will always cost you more than you planned. Especially if you work in an unpredictable environment like Nigeria, where too many things are not certain, where the biggest risk in running business in Nigeria, for example, is regulatory risk. And so you realize that you've got to prepare for worst case scenario. So remain an incurable optimist, but also play the devil's advocate. What is the worst thing that can happen? And prepare for that. So again, it's also the need for you to work hard. I see a lot of people talking about working smart. The smarter you work, the harder you need to work. Because when you work smart, you will shorten the time for getting results. It means that you now have more time to do more work. So I didn't sleep until around 1 a.m. I've been awake since 3. I've read a book today. I've done quite a lot of things today. So getting the day ready, so you need to work hard. Those days, we didn't even have money to start a business. So it will interest you to note that when we started by bootstrapping. So we didn't have, I recognized that the best way to start a business is to identify needs in the market. You don't have to be the producer. Once you can find who has need and you can find who is meeting that need, bridge the gap, you're in business.
The middleman.
Being a middleman is a smart way of going into business.
That's what Amazon is.
Absolutely. So, I mean, so that was how we started. And I recall, because of the nature of business we're going into, required an office space, but we couldn't afford to rent an office. All we had in our bank account at the time was 35,000 naira. That was money that's meant for sales on return for bulk SMS business we had started.
At that time, it was close to like $100.
Yes. And so, that was how I started telling family members, if you have an office space, I needed a chair, just a contact address. And that was how we started. And little by little, we outgrew the space and then moved out of the place. And so you need to work hard. And while working in that place, because it was a shared office, we had to leave the key with the next door neighbor. Sometimes I get there 12 a.m. to give them the key, and it's like, are you still receiving customers at this time of the day? We're working on vision. We're burning the midnight candle. Nobody could deny that I was laboring so hard, and along with some of my team. I am a driver. You know, once my eyes is on where we're going, I'll give it everything it takes. And so we labored so hard, and so hard work is critical. In 2006, I read a book by the author Arthur Lynch Williams, an amazing book. Anyone who has heard my story, I've often referred to that book. Two key things I learned from that book that has not left me ever since, and has formed more of my core values today, is he said, you will win 50% of your competition if you are hardworking. He said, you will win additional 40% if you are a person of integrity. He said the remaining 10% are doing just exactly. And so ever since, hard work and integrity became my mantra. I would rather lose money, sir, than lose my name. I would rather, by the grace of God, the company is worth billions today in Naira, in Nigerian Naira. But I would rather walk away from that.
That's millions in dollars.
Of course. Millions in any currency of the world. Than lose my integrity and lose my name. That's how serious it is. And I always say to people that integrity is not integrity until it is tested. And adversity is the truest test of integrity. Adversity will always force you to compromise. But when you stand your ground, when you maintain your integrity in spite of all odds, that's when we know you truly are a person of integrity. And I've been through all those phases in the course of this business. In 10 years, almost 10 years, May 2nd will make it exactly 10 years, we launched out full time. And in 10 years, I can tell you, we've never defaulted to any of our customers. We've never owed salaries, never. Not because we've never had reasons to, but I would rather that and that's one of the key lessons. I found very early on, especially while I was working in investment banking, that even a certified thief is looking for someone who can be trusted. So
He's a thief, but he wants a trusted person.
He's looking for a trusted person. So I decided to be the trusted fellow, and became my mantra. So when people are going to testify about me, the only thing they can literally almost not ignore is the fact that this guy just forgets he would deliver, he will fulfill his promise. So we have one of our major part of the trainings that we give to new staff in our organization is rather under promise and over deliver than over promise and under deliver.
Isn't that part of our main problem across the continent?
Oh, absolutely.
Is the issue of trust.
Trust.
We've come to believe that the shortcut way of lying, cutting corners, taking a bribe. I mean, I was coming through the airport the other day, just a few days ago, and the lady said, what do you bring for us? I was so upset. I said, you guys should stop this. This is giving us some, she thought I was crazy. Like, you've got to stop this. This is so bad. How can you just stand here at the first point of contact with our country and you're asking for something?
Yeah.
And she said, excuse me. And this was a young lady in her 20s.
Yeah.
We seem to have believed that the shortcut, throwing away trust and going fast for the money is, and not giving value, promising too much, not delivering, making the akara have more air. I mean, the bean cake have more air than the actual cake itself is the way up. No. And you have proven in this short period of time, a decade plus, that it's possible to walk the talk.
Anyone who has known me for 20 years plus will tell you that's one thing that's consistent. I'm not ready for, I've walked away from deals. Once I know it's going to solve my name. I walked away from relationships just because I know it's going to affect my integrity.
Isn't that what we Christians are supposed to be doing?
Absolutely.
Isn't that what it means to be a salt and a light?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was in Atlanta one of those days a few years ago, and having a conversation with this gentleman, and he was saying to me that, but be firewood, or it's not easy to be a Christian here. And I asked him a question. I said, do you know how many people you are influencing by your life? And I asked him a very profound question. I said, if I start living the way you are living, would you still trust me? He said, never. I said, so you can lower standards but you've raised the standards for me. And that's actually what Christians are supposed to be. It doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that we don't, we are all humans, we all need help. Okay, so that's not to say that, oh, you portray this holier than thou attitude and that you can get all right at it every time. So, but there's that honesty, there's that sincerity of heart that everybody can see that, no, this guy mean well. And this is, and that for me showed that people are really looking at us as Christians to model the way. The real Bible that people want to read now is not the physical, the paper Bible or soft copy Bible. It's we, the Christians. So I say to people, I don't even like telling people I'm a pastor. I don't like telling people I'm a Christian.
You've got to see it themselves.
Jesus said, by their fruit you will know them. So let people
Because we have too much labels on our cars.
Yes.
From our mouths.
Yes. So sometimes what I even find is that people try to use pastor to disarm people.
Disarm you before they steal away what they want to steal from you.
Exactly. So I don't use that. Just discover me for who I am. There's no need for too much stories.
That's wonderful. Tell me, and we're trying to land this here. 2 questions. First of all, if one is watching you and it's like the young man starting off, and you are speaking to him because you had nothing, you had no university education, you didn't have money, and yet you walked with God and came to where you are now, managing a company that is a multi-million-dollar company, US dollar company. How would you say, if you were to pick 3 things? Of course, you've said a lot already, hard work, integrity. How would you tell him to start?
Okay, so we actually don't get to the top. We are brought to the top. You are the same 5 years from now, except for 2 things. The books you read, the company you keep. And so you want to look at your association and the information. So I'm sold out to knowledge. Last year, I read over 100 books. This year, this is February, right? And I've read over 35 books already. I'm giving to knowledge. Next month, I just enrolled for an owner-manager program in Lagos Business School. I have an MBA in Business School in the Netherlands, but I'm not. Last year, I'm always going for upgrading myself, updating myself. So place premium on knowledge. Place premium on knowledge. If you know better, you do better. And so knowledge is critical. But apart from knowledge, you need relationships. And that's a game changer for us in business. So what you know plus who you know is what really brings the turnaround.
It's beautiful the way you summarize it. So to the guy watching, no matter their age, look at those 2 things. How much knowledge are you gathered, and how are your relationships? What's your last word to our viewers as we land this?
Well, my last words would be that life will not give you what you deserve. Life will give you what you negotiate. In life, you don't get what you want. You get who you are. So invest in becoming a newer version of yourself, and life will throw you some pleasant surprises. Wow,
what a beautiful way to land it. I've been talking to Oladipupo Clement. He's the CEO of Lifepage, and he's a real estate entrepreneur. But like he rightly corrected me, he's more of a capacity builder.
Yeah, I'm actually a trusted wealth creation and retention expert.
There are too many sides to you.
To myself, yes.
So let's just say he's the CEO of Lifepage.
Absolutely.
And he's on a journey. And I think this is just the beginning of Oladipupo.
Absolutely.
And the best is yet to come. Thank you so much for coming on this show.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. And you've inspired me, and I'm sure you've inspired a lot of people watching.
Thank you.
The simplicity with which you narrowed down the thing. I think we can all take away something to use.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll come back and round up later. Thank you. Hi there and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before I go, I want you to know that we're able to continue this ministry because of generous donations from people like you. And I would like you to prayerfully consider becoming a partner with us in this ministry. If you'd like to give, please use the information on the screen and let us know that you want to give. And to say thank you to you, I want to send you a copy of my book, God Gives His Children a Song, which is a book that's blessed people all around the world, and I know it will bless you. Use the information on the screen and let us know you want to give. I'll see you same station, same time next week. Bye for now. Please like this video and leave a comment below. Let's know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell button and share this video with somebody else.